Hello, I'm Ian Truscott. You may know me as the host of the Rockstar CMO Effing Marketing Podcast, but I'm here to share that we're kicking off the inaugural MPN Podcast Awards, which will be hosted by Gordon Glenister, podcaster, author, and the Don of influencer marketing. What say you, Gordon?
The Marketing Podcast Network is a community of marketers who podcast. And we thought it was high time to recognise the podcasts that we love, marketing podcasts. But these awards aren't just about the shows on our network. The MPN Awards are open to all marketing podcasts. And this is our chance to shine a light on the voices right across the entire marketing podcast community. So don't delay. Enter the MPN Awards.
You heard Gordon. Let us know your favourite marketing podcast and enter at mpn-awards.com or follow the Marketing Podcast Network on LinkedIn for all of our updates.
You enjoy podcasts. We know because you're listening to one. Hi, I'm Jason Falls, the executive producer of the Marketing Podcast Network. We love podcasts too, so much so that in addition to providing you with the great episode you're listening to, we also help businesses, brands, and even individuals produce their podcasts. MPN Studios offers podcast consulting and production services to help you get you or your business its very own podcast. We've helped dozens of smart people, advertising agencies, and brands develop podcasts. All you do is record your content or interview. We take that and deliver a professionally produced audio or video episode complete with show notes, transcriptions, and even promotional clips to use on social media. And our monthly subscription prices are hard to beat. If you or your company are jonesing to have your own podcast to establish thought leadership, drive business leads, or just have fun talking about your business or topic of choice, we'd love to help. Learn more at marketingpodcasts.net/studio. That's marketingpodcasts.net/studio.
Welcome to Your Radiant Spirit, a space for the conversations and colors that help you see yourself more clearly. I'm Heather Eck, an intuitive artist and guide, and I believe your soul speaks in the ways the mind can't always put into words, through color, energy, and the stories your body holds. This show is where we explore those messages. Through personal stories, deep conversations, and creative insight, we'll uncover what's been hidden, release what no longer serves, and begin to imagine what's possible when you live in full alignment with who you're meant to be. What you hear here is more than inspiration, it's an opening, a chance to feel the shift that could change everything. So take a deep breath, open your heart, and let's step into today's conversation. Welcome back, my friends. I can't believe we are in the month of May. It is very exciting over here in the studio. We've got a lot of new things happening, a lot of new things coming up, including a new release of some small original works, all centered around the color green. So watch this space. That's going to be releasing at the end of this month. You can follow along behind the scenes over at Heather Eck Artist. Now on to the episode with my dear friend Helen. What if you could speak to somebody who can no longer speak for themselves and give them the gift of a peaceful and sacred passage? On today's episode, I speak to Helen, a gifted energy healer, sacred passage guide, and the co-owner of Divine Health Alliance in Charlotte, North Carolina. Helen brings a rare combination of corporate HR wisdom and profound spiritual gifts, a pairing that, as she and I discover, is more connected than either could have imagined. Helen opens up about shutting down her psychic gifts as a child in a conservative British household, the divine timing that pulled her out of a corporate life, and how caring for her aging father cracked open a completely new calling, helping people transition from this life into the next with ease and grace. You're going to love this episode with Helen. You're going to hear her talk about her remarkable work connecting telepathically with people who have Alzheimer's or are in comas, and helping untether the soul from the body when it's ready to leave. She also shares how she identifies and releases trapped emotions that live in the physical body, and why most of us are unknowingly carrying the fear and grief of the collective. This episode is an invitation to transform your relationship with your own body, with your own energy, and even with death, and to remember just how powerful you truly are. I hope you enjoy this one. Let me know what you think. And as always, if you like this episode, please subscribe, or leave us a comment. It helps other people find and experience the joy of energy and color healing. Enjoy. My beautiful friend, Helen, thank you so much for being with me today.
Thank you for having me. I'm super excited to be here.
So glad that you said yes. I feel like our meeting was serendipitous. We met through a spiritual class a couple of years ago, but have stayed in touch,
Yep.
which has been awesome. And we share our experience in corporate HR. We are survivors of human resources.
That's right.
And you wouldn't believe how many people I encounter who have left HR who do the kind of work that we do in healing spaces. It's kind of crazy to me.
Yeah, well, and I think it's for me, when I look back, I'm like, oh, I was doing spiritual work and I was getting intuitive guidance. It's just in a different way. And that was one of the things, people were like, how do you know that about that person? Or are you studying the corporate directory? Like, how do you know who these people are and what they do? And that was the stuff that would just come naturally for me to understand people's skills and where they you could add and benefit the organization. So when I look back, I'm like, oh, I was doing some of this work, though I had no idea I was doing it.
Yeah.
I don't know
Isn't
if
that
you feel
wild?
the same way, right?
Yeah.
I was
Oh,
drawn to people and the people side of things, which now makes sense.
yeah, for sure. And I think back to that HR experience, and my spiritual teacher even said to me, like, human resources was your cheat. It's a way for you to cheat in your gift, right? Because you're working with people, you're
Yes.
like healing people, but if you're not like in the actual work. Um,
That's so true.
so were you a spiritual kid? Like, did you grow up being curious about things like that?
When I look back, I got messages, I actually saw things, people when I was really little. And I have vivid memories of waking up, petrified in the middle of the night because there were people in my room. And I would go downstairs and tell my parents, and they were British. Stop being ridiculous, Helen. Go back to bed. And so I think I shut a lot of those gifts down. So I've always had, a super vivid imagination. I've always been into sort of the angels and the fairies and the playful side of life, but from a no awareness or understanding of my spiritual gifts until sort of later in life. I was always
Mm,
intrigued by it, but I grew up in again a British family, quite conservative, restrictive. Like that's not stuff we mess with. We need data, logic, and facts. We grew up you sort of very risk averse. This is how you need to lead your life. These are the things you need to do. And so I would say I shut most of it down.
yeah, I get that. Do you feel like all of that has come back for you since you've started stepping into your gifts and
Yeah,
doing,
yeah,
yeah?
absolutely. I mean, it's still, I think, layers of an onion unpeeling. So my intuitive gifts, I don't see the same way I see in the physical world. I get clairsentient, clairaudient. I have a sense of knowing, and I know something's there, but I don't see it in the same way. And I do think I shut some of that down as a kid, and that is unfolding.
Yeah.
Um, you know, still.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think too, the more you show um that you're stepping into it, the more that you're practicing it, the more I think, I don't want to use the word rewarded, but I think your gifts start to grow and expand
Oh,
too.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, the messages are much louder, much clearer. Yeah, I have so many more guides, all the things. And for me, actually coming out of corporate and
Uh-huh.
that unraveling has been, game on, because I think I was living in the confines of that construct of just trying to do what I needed to do for the job. And as I've shed a lot of that, the gifts, it's been kind of game on.
Mm-hmm. I love that. Can you talk about your decision to leave corporate and to do this kind of work and what that experience was like for you? Because that's I get asked that question a lot because you come from the space that's so fact-based and
Yeah.
in the corporate
Yeah.
HR world, which is so black and white, and then to step into this very colorful work that you do now is,
Yeah, I mean
tell us about that.
it's been an unraveling. So for me, I think it was divine timing, divine intervention. And I'd worked with some other spiritual teachers. So I was living out in California, working for a bank out there, and I did a session with somebody, and they said, you have one more corporate gig in you. and you're going to go back and do that corporate gig, and then something significant is going to happen that is going to propel you out of that space. And I was like, oh, I don't know what that means. But that's really exactly what happened. So I moved back. I took a job back in Charlotte, North Carolina. And part of the drive for that was to be closer to my dad, who was aging, and his wife, just to be in the same area of vicinity. And his wife actually was diagnosed with Alzheimer's. So this was probably 2019 into 2020. And we had to put her in an assisted living or a memory care facility right at the beginning of COVID. And then my dad started to spiral once we did that. So he was by himself at home in this 3,000 square foot house, had kind of lost his purpose because he'd been taking care of her and doing so much. And then all of a sudden he couldn't see her anymore. He couldn't look after her in the same way. He was doing window visits. And so he started to decline. Ultimately, he fell, fractured his back, had kidney, all kinds of issues. So I actually took a leave of absence from work. So the significant thing was sort of the illness of my dad. I took a leave of absence, and I just sort of knew, I'm not sure. Well, I was like, I don't think I'm going back. So the leave of absence went on for a while, probably 6 months. And while that was happening, I was working with him, doing some spiritual work, same thing with his wife. I also had a side practice of doing energy healing and emotional release work. It was just more of a sort of a hobby or something I knew I wanted to do, but didn't have the courage to do. So I think when I look back, it was really a gift that my dad gave me, to be able to spend time with him, to work through some of our stuff and the issues that we had had, as I was growing up. And he passed away, and I was just like, I can't go back. I can't go back. So I feel like in some ways the decision was made for me. I was successful enough in corporate that I had a buffer, and I'm very grateful for that. And I'm grateful for my corporate career because I think it's part of what makes me really grounded as a healer. Like I can live in both worlds, and I can relate to people that live that life. I'm not, always just up in the clouds. But I knew in my gut that I just couldn't go back. So I left. And I would say it's still been, that was almost 3 years ago, and it's still a journey, right? I mean, so much of my identity was wrapped up in Helen, the HR executive.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's kind of like, you can't unring a bell. I feel like once
Right.
you sort of step away from that and you see the other things that are out there that light you up and make you feel whole, it's like,
Yeah.
how can I go back into that space where I didn't
Yeah.
feel fully me?
Yeah. Yeah. And, stepping into this was a bit of a challenge for me as well, right? Owning these gifts and like, what are people going to think? Are they going to think I'm weird? Am I going to lose? Yep. I mean, I'm weird anyway, so not sure why I was worried about that. But what are they going to think? Am I going to lose friends? I don't want to be judged. So that's really been the journey for me in the past 3 years is stepping into my authenticity, owning my gifts, and, unapologetically.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I love there's something I think on your site where you talked about wanting to be like your bold, unapologetic toddler self, like
Yes.
going back to that.
Yeah.
I
I
love
mean,
that.
I go back and I look at pictures of what I look like as a little kid, and I'm like, whoa, that's the energy that I want to capture and that we all get to capture because
Yeah.
most of us just shut that down.
Yep. Yeah, it's so true. And so now, so you left corporate a couple of years ago. You started a business called Divine Healing
Divine Health
Health
Alliance. Yep.
Alliance. That's it. Divine
So
Health
I'm
Alliance.
a co-owner of Divine Health Alliance with one of my best friends and business partner, Jennifer Payer. And we have a physical center in Charlotte, North Carolina, where we do holistic health. So, a lot of people come in with physical issues, and then we tap in and recognize, hey, guess what? We're all energetic beings. And
Hmm.
actually, if honestly, I'm going to say almost everything starts on an energetic level, whether that is emotional, what we call past trauma, or even spiritual, right? I'm not aligned to the purpose of why I came here, and now my physical body is trying to get my attention. So,
Mm-hmm.
people come in with a physical issue, and then my specialty is the emotional trauma, release, energy healing, and spiritual work.
Amazing. I want to talk a little bit about the emotional trauma release and what that process looks like for somebody, but then I also want to go into some other work that you do too, which is
Yep.
helping people transition as well,
Yeah.
which is fascinating to me. So, how do you work with your clients to help them release emotional trauma? What do you typically do?
Yeah, for people that are not familiar with energy work, I start with something that's called the emotion code, but I think anybody who practices the emotion code does it very differently. So that's really about, where do we have trapped emotions stuck in our body? So anytime something happens to us that is traumatic. And I always like to tell people, it doesn't matter if it's a capital T trauma or a lowercase t trauma. Trauma is trauma,
Mm-hmm.
right? Our body, because people are like, no, I've never had any trauma in my life. I wasn't abused. I haven't had any. And, it's, did you get what you needed from your parents? Did you perhaps feel abandoned at times? Oh,
Mm-hmm.
well, yeah, of course. Well, that's trauma. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So as those things happen to us, we don't know how to process them or what to do with them. So we take those emotions and stuff them down and into our body. And
Mm-hmm.
that does two things. One, it creates a vibration and a resonance, whether that's fear, abandonment, worry. Those all have a very low frequency and low vibration. And so we have trapped that in our body. And that's where dis-ease or disease starts, right? In that low vibration or frequency. And then the other thing it does is, we are spending so much time and energy keeping those things pushed and stuffed down.
Yeah.
Right? No, everything's fine. Everything's fine. I got it together over here.
I'm good.
Yeah. And I mean, that's what we're taught to do. It's what our society does, to get back out there,
Mm-hmm.
dust yourself off and get back out on the field without, like, hey, what am I feeling? How do I process this? How do I let it go so that it's not stuck? And
Yeah.
the analogy I use all the time is, like, it's a balloon full of air, which if you could just pop it, acknowledge it, let it go, that would be, but most of us are like pushing it underwater. And if you've
Yeah.
ever pushed a balloon underwater, it takes a ton of energy.
Wow, that's a
Um,
great analogy. That's a great
yeah.
visual.
Yeah. So I identify what the trapped emotions are by muscle testing and tapping into somebody's sort of innate wisdom and knowledge. And then I've studied lots of different modalities. I've got guides. I just kind of go where the energy takes me. So more often than not, I'm peeling off and releasing the highest priority trapped emotions. And then I get guided to do other things, which might be like a soul retrieval, which would mean, if your parents did something to you when you were little or 5 or 6, and somebody I worked with got lost in the mall, and didn't know where, so fear, anxiety, shock, like a little piece of you spins up and out because you're petrified and don't know what to do. And so a soul retrieval is going and finding that piece of you. And I work with the client to do it, to bring that piece back, let them know they're safe, and reintegrate it.
Mm-hmm.
Or I do cord removal, or like I like to call it cord shrinking. So people are like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't do cord cutting, because if you cut a cord, it leaves a piece of that cord sticking out. And the image I have is like a sea anemone, right? With these cords flailing in the wind. But two things. One, you can prune or reduce the size of a cord, right? So a lot of people have big, fat, overgrown cords with their family members.
Mm-hmm.
And so you want a cord in a relationship with your family member, but you don't want a giant redwood size cord where they're taking your energy or you're giving your energy away, or vice versa. So it may be shrinking
Mm-hmm.
cords, or removing them if it is truly somebody that does not need to be in your life anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it might spin into past life. I mean, I literally just go where the energy takes me.
Yeah. I love that. Are you seeing any like trends that people are experiencing? Any strong emotions that are coming up repeatedly for your clients?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I think right now, just a lot of people are actually picking up the collective environment. And so I've had multiple people recently that had, panic, fear, terror, and it's almost like the image I have. I'm like, I'm not even sure what a lightning rod is, but I sort of see this metal thing on the top of a building, and that these people are antennas for the collective. So, I'll do the testing and I'm like, "Oh, you're holding terror or fear." And then I'll ask, "Is this yours?" And, often, yes, there's a component, but then I'll
Uh-huh.
ask, "Is it a family member's? Did you inherit it?" And more recently, I'm getting a lot of no, and then I go, "Okay, is this the collective?"
Oh,
So I
wow.
just think so many people are feeling the frequency and the vibration of everything going on in the world and not realizing that it's not even there. It's not theirs.
Yeah. Yeah. It's I love that you talked about all the different modalities and tools that you use too, because all of them all they all serve a purpose in the greater good of our healing. But I think what I'm hearing the most from you is this sort of like quantum understanding of healing and the big way that we can pull things out, pull pieces of our spirit back, or that we're picking up energy from the collective. And so, how do you sort of ground and protect yourself when you're dealing with all these energies and all these emotions and things that are coming from your clients? And because you're such a sensitive person, too, I'm sure you picked up on something on me
Oh,
just from
yeah.
a conversation. How do you sort of protect your energy when you go out and about in the crazy world that we're in right now?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I have a lot of different techniques that I use, and you are spot on. I mean, I am a sponge, and it wasn't. In fact, I recently did another astrological reading with somebody, and they were like, "You do know you're a Pisces moon, which means I'm super sensitive, but it's the 29th degree, so it's like the anaretic degree of Pisces, which is the death degree."
Oh,
so,
you're like,
so
great.
this person, and I'm like, "Oh, yes." So that I felt that my whole life, right? I can walk into a room and just immediately feel like, oh, people are not in a good place, or people are over. So I ask myself regularly if I start to feel down, start to feel depressed, or feel this energy, I stop and I say, "Is this mine?" And I take the first pop that comes into my head. And more often than not, the answer is no. And
Wow.
then I have to say, it's giving me chills now as I'm saying it, because that's going to resonate with somebody who's listening to this. And you as well, I'm guessing. So
Yeah.
as I say that, and if I get a no, then I say, "Thank you for the information. You can go. I need to clear that." And then I do all the other things. I clear my energy at night before I go to bed. Before I go into a healing session, I use multiple different ways to clear and protect my energy. I have specialist guides that help me with clearing. I'll call them in, and I'm like, I've got a guy that literally creates this filter for me that I energetically walk through.
Cool.
Um, yeah. So you're right. Like, we talk a lot about, we all have physical hygiene, but we all need to have energetic hygiene as well. So I
Hmm.
try to take a shower every day. So I try to do the same thing with energy to clear myself every day as well.
Yeah. Yeah, it's important. And like you said at the start, we're all energy. Everything is energy. And so you can shift it and move it and clear it. And that leads me to the next thing. I really want to hear more about your work with helping people who are transitioning
Yeah.
and your work there. Can you tell us about
Yeah.
that?
So that is a gift that showed up well, actually with my father and with his wife with the Alzheimer's. So I have learned, and now it's all, I've been told this for a long time. I used to meditate all the time and hear, "You're a death doula, you're a death doula." And that didn't really resonate with me in the process of sort of sitting with somebody through the dying process or asking them what they wanted. And what I have an understanding of, my gift is I am able to communicate with people who are no longer physically able to communicate on the planet. So that so it's telepathic. People with
Hmm.
Alzheimer's, I've worked with people in comas, people who are, at the end stage of the dying process and can no longer communicate but seem to be hanging on.
Uh-huh.
And so I am able to energetically connect into those people. And it hasn't all been remote, but most of it is remote. So typically I'll get hired by the family members of the people who are still here. And
Hmm.
it's usually I don't understand, my mom is at end stage. She's no longer communicating, but she's not going.
Mm.
Or with the Alzheimer's, it's their mind and their spirit is gone, but their physical body still has lots of activity. And that was the case with my dad's wife. Um, that her soul and mind was ready to go, but her physical body was still very, very strong.
Mm.
Um, so most of the work has gone down one of two paths. So I'll start with the Alzheimer's where somebody still has a strong physical body. So it was actually the woman who connected us in the spiritual community who said to me, Helen, she's desperately asking for your help. And I was like, what? Are you sure?
Yeah.
Because we'd had a good relationship, but anytime I would check in and sort of say, can I help you? Her name was Pauline. Can I help you pass? I would get no, or not pass, but can I help you energetically? I would get no. And then I started to connect in and I got yes, I am lost. I'm lost in this maze. I don't want to be here anymore. I'm not living life. I'm ready to go, but I'm stuck and I don't know how to go.
Wow. Okay.
And so that was where, I put her on my healing table energetically and tapped in. And the messages I got was to bring the body and the soul and the spirit into coherence. And so it was energetically slowing down her body's processes and her heartbeat to match where her soul was because her body was in a state of fight or flight, right? I got to keep
Oh,
going. I
wow.
got to keep
Yeah.
processing. I got to keep moving. So that process, I mean, that it's not like it happens overnight. I worked on her, every week or so for a few months. And there was a huge shift. Like her body started to catch up and get to the place where her mind was.
Wow.
Yeah. And the other one, and then once somebody is closer to transitioning, I'm able to go in and energetically, we have chakras or energy centers, and it's go in and help untie and untether these chakras from our physical body and
Mm.
allow them to, when the soul is ready to move up and out. Um,
Wow.
yeah.
That's remarkable work. That is like sacred work
Well,
too.
yeah, and then I did something similar with my dad. So I got a huge download. The offering, I call it on Angel's Wings.
Hmm.
And you're right. For me, it's a sacred passage guide. So it's clearing the space and the way to let somebody move up and out in a peaceful way and reconciling that death, changing our definition of death to honestly, it's a rebirth.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. And so the other work that I've done is where somebody is seemingly ready to go, right? Their physical bodies are ready to go, but they're hanging on. And more often than not, when I connect in, there's a fear holding them back. So it's been, I don't want to leave my daughter. I'm worried about my daughter and
Hmm.
how she's going to cope or survive. Or I don't know where I'm going. I've done some not great things in my life and I've got a huge fear. And I worked with one guy who had been in prison. I didn't know this until I started working with him. And he's like, I've done some terrible things in my life. He was on a ventilator on life support. It's like, I've done some terrible things in my life. Where am I going? Um, and I then am almost like a mediator or a broker because energetically his guides showed up as well as these amazing divine guides. So Jesus showed up, Mother Mary showed up, and it was like watching an entire conversation between these two soul or between the soul and these divine beings who were like, all is forgotten, come with us, you're safe. Yeah, and he passed within a couple of days.
Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah. Or I'll get messages, asking for forgiveness, right? To two children, right? I,
Hmm.
I knew this was happening. I didn't say anything. I didn't do anything to protect my child. I want them to know I'm sorry. So typically for
Mm.
me, the child that has hired me is the one they need to give that message to. And
Hmm.
so it can be really healing for the people that are left behind. Honestly, I think that's the biggest piece of the healing is knowing that their loved one has passed safely and sacredly and with ease. So
Hmm.
that's what I feel like my calling is to help people transition with ease and grace
Mm.
and not
I think,
fight it.
yeah. And that's so important, I think, in grieving too, and helping somebody move through the grief process as well, because part of it, I think, and one of the things that keeps people stuck in grief is not knowing what happened to the person or not knowing whether that person who's passed is at peace or they've made it
Yeah.
to the other side or what
Woo,
have you.
yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. And
that's
then I
powerful.
get messages after the fact, with my dad. He wasn't really into any of this. And now I feel like I'm making new memories with him. Like I can still
Mm.
connect to him and talk to him. And I know he's my biggest cheerleader on the other side with this work. So it's very, my mom passed away when I was 27 and I wasn't tapped into any of those things. And to your point, it was such a different, I mean, quite honestly, horrible experience of the why, how could this have happened? Really feeling left and disconnected to, fast forward 20 years to when my dad died. It was probably one of the most beautiful experiences of my life.
Mm. Wow.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. Thank you for doing
Yeah.
this work too, because I think it's so important. I was just listening to the telepathy tapes. Do you listen to that
Yes.
show? And the
Yes.
second season just came out, and they were talking about telepathic communication with people who have Alzheimer's, who are unable to communicate and to be able to connect to people and help them understand what's happening, how to care for me, here's what I need, that sort of thing. I feel like you are like acting as like a concierge almost for somebody who needs that support to be able to communicate exactly what it is that they need, what they're
Yeah.
feeling.
Yeah, that's a
Um,
great way. Yeah, and actually I listened to one of those episodes and connected with so we have a little group of us that are getting together regularly to kind of talk through how do we bring more of this to the world and how do we let people know that this is available, right? I mean, that's one of the things I've kind of struggled with a bit, like how I help people die, but there's so much peace and available. Yeah.
yeah.
So we're kind of meeting, and I think it's just shining a light on the death. Our society has just given the death process, like, we don't give it any time. We
Hmm.
don't talk about it. We shy away from it. And there's so much, ceremony and ritual available to us to help ease that process. And whew, it's magical, right? When people are able to go smoothly and go straight up, it's beautiful. And I feel
Hmm.
honored to be able to witness it.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I have a friend who has just lost, she's gone through three separate deaths this year. And it's been really hard, but I think she's been able to she's actually been able to witness all three passings. And
Wow.
it's just remarkable, I think, the beauty that has been in every single one. And oh, it makes me want to cry. Just to even
Yeah,
be able
yeah,
to like bear witness to that is so
yes,
powerful.
yeah,
And I think because of the work that you and I do and other people in healing spaces do, we know that when the physical body leaves, it's not the end, right? That the spirit
absolutely.
goes
Yeah.
on. And like you said, you have new memories with your dad who passed over a few years ago, but you're still in communication with him. You're still in relationship with him. I
Yeah,
mean,
and we have a yes, and it's a beautiful right. He's given me his thumbs up stamp of approval, the things that we used to, on that he's like, "Whoa, I'm sorry, I didn't realize." That's what those are the messages I hear now. There's just so much more available to us than
yeah,
we realize. Yeah.
yeah, I love that. I was going to ask you a question and it just popped out of my head. I think uh, it'll come to me. It'll come
Oh,
to me.
no
I
worries.
think it was related to the death and dying process and helping people get comfortable with that and to know when to reach out to somebody like you who does this kind of work to help support their family through this kind of transition.
Yeah, and I mean, you're in the healing center that we run. It's so many people are kind of like, oh, they'll show up because they're struggling, right? Oh, I just lost my parent. And I think, oh, right, because they're like and it was difficult. It was painful. They really struggled, or they wouldn't let go. And I'm like, oh, if only I had known.
Yeah,
Because I really do, the image I have is sort of the seed popping out and like boop, boop, that they can go. I mean, the body has to do its process and the
yeah,
body shuts down. And even getting comfortable with that, right? That though they're not in pain, they're not struggling. Like our bodies are these amazing, beautiful things that know exactly what to do.
right.
Um, but that we can grease the skids and make it much easier for the soul to kind of go up and out versus
Hmm.
fight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For somebody who's listening to this now, how can they get in touch with you? If they're going through something like this, where can they find
Yeah,
you?
so the best bet would be through our website, which is divinehealthalliance.com. And then on our scheduling, so they could send an email, or we have a scheduling app, and the offering for this is called On Angel's Wings.
Okay.
And I would say, it can be a one-time thing, or it can be just help me understand where this person is in the process. Are they ready to transition? Are they ready to go? What kind of support or help do they need? Because I can connect in and ask some of those questions. It doesn't have to be a one and done at the very
Hmm.
end, right? Because so many of us would like comfort and awareness to know, even do they want me there? Do they not want me there? I've seen both, right? Where the person who's dying waits for somebody to leave, right?
Yeah.
But the
Yep.
person is sitting vigil and won't leave. So then the
Hmm.
person won't die, right?
Yes.
so, so if we can get to a place where it's like they want you there to say goodbye, but they feel like it will be too much for you to physically be there,
Uh-huh.
so you're okay to leave at night.
Hmm.
Or that was the other thing, with my dad. I was there all day, and then I would say to him, I'm gonna leave now and I'm gonna come back, so if you want me here while as you pass, like, I would be honored and love to do that, but if you also want to do that on your own and don't want me here, I'm gonna give you the space to do that,
Oh, wow.
because they can hear us.
They can hear. Yeah.
They can
Yeah.
hear us. Yeah.
Oh, man. This is such beautiful, beautiful work. And I know HR is an important part of business as well, but I'm so happy that you are following the guidance to do this kind of work out there because it literally I have tears in my eyes. I keep thinking about it and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so important. And it's something that everybody's going to go through at some
Yeah.
point in our lives, whether it's to be there for someone or even your own transition. It's just a really beautiful thing. And to be able to have somebody to help support that, to be able to tune in and say, this is what they need, or this is where they are, gives the person who's holding that space so much more information and support and love as they're going through all of that. So
Yeah. Yeah.
thank you for doing this work. It's wonderful. And I'm so happy that I know you.
I know. I'm honored to be here. And I fought it for a while. I'm like, I want the babies and the angels. I don't want, but now I really have transformed my relationship with death. Of it truly being a rebirth and something that can be beautiful.
Yeah. Oh, I could talk to you for hours. I could talk to you
Back
about
at
it for
you.
hours. Well, you mentioned your website. Where other people they can find you on your website. You're on Instagram. I'll put all that information in the show notes. And if you could leave the listeners today with just one message about healing or authenticity or the wisdom of the body, what would you say?
Yeah. I mean, we are 99.99999% energy, and we are so much more powerful than we think or believe. And, the way our thoughts dictate where our where matter goes. And so, really trying to keep those things in mind. The other thing I'll share, Greg Braden just did a podcast with Joe Rogan. I don't know it was a 3-hour podcast, but he gave the definition of divine or divinity, and that we've sort of lost our divinity. And it's that we are amazing healers, and
Mm,
that we can heal ourselves, and that we have shut down so much of that and given our authority to other people. So I would just invite people to truly tap into their own authority, their own divinity, and know so much is possible beyond our physical being.
mm. Yes. I love that. I love that. Well, thank you so much for being here with me today. I'm excited to share your work with people because it's so needed. And I'm happy that two fellow HR gals are out there now in the world doing this
Yep,
spiritual
yep.
work instead of performance reviews. So
Amen to that.
thank you.
Thank you for joining me today on Your Radiant Spirit. Every conversation here is an invitation to go beyond the surface, to listen to what your soul has been whispering, and to step into the life you've been longing for. If you're ready to go deeper, to work in a way that's personal, creative, and profoundly transformative, you'll find ways to connect with me in the show notes. Whether it's through art, a guided session, or a fully immersive journey, you'll discover a space where your truth is seen and your next chapter begins. If this episode spoke to you, it would mean the world if you shared it with a friend, left a review, or subscribed so more people can discover the conversations we have here. Until next time, my friend, keep noticing the colors, the moments, and the nudges. They're all leading you home. And for now, take a breath, hold on to what resonated, and carry it with you into the rest of your day. Thanks for listening.
You may know you're listening to this show along the Marketing Podcast Network, but did you know there are other great shows on MPN to help your business? Heather Eck hosts an amazing show called Your Radiant Spirit. Heather, tell listeners about the show.
What if the colors you're drawn to, the creative urges you ignore, and the quiet intuitive hits you brush off are actually trying to tell you something? Your Radiant Spirit is the podcast that helps you listen and live with greater clarity and purpose.
And where can people subscribe?
You can find and subscribe at heathereck.com/yourradiantspirit, on marketingpodcast.net, or search for it wherever you get your podcasts.
You heard her. Go subscribe. This podcast is heard along the Marketing Podcast Network. For more great marketing podcasts, visit marketingpodcasts.net.